Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum. Good evening and welcome to your Emgage South Florida Gala. Let's get a big round of applause for everybody. My name is Saif Ishuf, and I have the honor of having been a founding member of the artist formerly known as Emerge, the artist formerly known as the Center for Voter Advocacy, and something before that perhaps only Dr. Jaffer and Karam and Sohail and a few of us even know what we called it. It's an absolute honor to be the welcomer of all of you here today. This evening, before I call up our MC, and we've got somebody who is so extraordinary that's actually going to be guiding us through tonight's program and going to be leading us in the invocation and calling up some folks to do the pledge. I just wanted to say to each and every one of you how proud we are that at this moment, our Muslim community and all of the folks that we consider our allies and friends are with us here this evening. And that matters so much. And I think that deserves a major, major round of applause, because tonight is a night that's about celebrating truth. Tonight is a night that's about celebrating those who speak truth to power. And most importantly, tonight is a night that's about Emgage's mission, which is building bridges, pulling us all together, and making sure that when we look at the nickel on the coin, and we look at the back of it when it says E pluribus unum, which means out of many one, that we are fulfilling that to our American reality. And so without further ado, I have the great joy, and when Brother Shabir Bhai shared with me that we had been able to secure this extraordinary individual, that I was so gleeful to know that she would be sharing with us as our MC. And so I'm not going to read her entire bio because it's quite extensive, but I want to let you know that when I start to read about this extraordinary journalist, be proud of what she represents, especially at a time when we know the media and the robust role that it must play in our society in holding each and every one of us accountable, most notably our elected officials and those in public office, that it is the light in the darkness. And so Syra joined Local 10 news team in July of 2018. She's new to South Florida, which means that perhaps she has not yet either stolen somebody's parking space at Publix or had it stolen from her. When that happens, we know that she's a local. More importantly, she is a two-time Emmy-nominated reporter and comes to South Florida from Madison, Wisconsin, where she was working as a reporter. Syra earned Emmy nominations for her storm coverage in Janesville, Wisconsin, as well as a feature on a teacher at children within a children's hospital. She also received a prestigious award from the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association for excellence in live reporting. Syra actually began her journalist career in North Dakota as a primetime anchor and reporter, where she earned her political journalism stripes and investigative journalism stripes, investigating several major oil spills, as well as political issues on the indigenous community of North Dakota's Native American reservations. Syra was born and raised in Galesburg, Illinois. Both of her parents are Pakistani heritage. She has a degree in broadcast journalism and a minor in Spanish. And she also served at Teach for America as a core member, spending 2 years working with at-risk children in an 8th grade school in Dallas, Texas. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, members of Emgage, please join me in giving a warm South Florida welcome to our MC tonight, Syra Anwar.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Bienvenidos. I'm going to start tonight by hopefully saving someone's marriage. Someone left their wedding band in the men's restroom. Someone gave it to me. If it's yours, it'll be at table 2. So, inshallah, we'll be saving someone's marriage here tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. Wow, I don't mind hearing the word extraordinary put next to my name. That's not something I'm used to. Yeah, thank you all for coming. I hope you all realize how important it is that you're all here tonight and just how amazing of an organization this is. I'm so happy to be part of a group that just really lines up with why I decided to go into news and journalism and broadcasting and television, because I didn't grow up seeing people who look like me on television. And so it was so important to me to have a seat at the table, to have a voice. And that's what Emgage is all about, giving people voices that may otherwise go unheard. So thank you all for having me. Hopefully you're all watching Channel 10 bright and early in the morning. If so, you'll see me. Thank you. Yes, WPLG Channel 10 has been very kind to me, bringing me into South Florida. So I'll be here for a while, inshallah. I've made my home here. I'm very happy here. My aunt and uncle, Fuad and Hina Khan, are here, so I'm so happy that they're here to support me and to support this amazing mission. Just one quick story I wanted to tell before I invite Amanda up here, just about how important it is that we empower each other. So like you heard, a few years ago, I was working as a primetime anchor in North Dakota. And while I was there, I got a phone call from a young woman. She was a broadcasting student. And she called me, and she kind of asked me if she could have a future in the television journalism industry. And I told her, I mean, Muslim women everywhere are doing it. People are doing it. They're on TV. And she said, you know, Syra, the added challenge is I wear the hijab. And as Muslim women, every Muslim woman in here knows what it feels like to be told no. All our lives we're told what we can't do. We're told you can't do this. No, you can't do that. And I told her, you know, 1,000 people might tell you no, but in this industry, you only need one person to tell you yes. So that was about 4 years ago. She spent a few years working as a producer behind the scenes, and just last year, alhamdulillah, I got a text message from her saying she got promoted. MashaAllah, she is now the very first American Muslim hijabi news reporter in the United States. Her name is Tahira Rahman. So again, so important to me to feel empowered and to empower other Muslim women, just Muslims in general, South Asians, Middle Easterns, North Africans, wherever you're from. I hope you leave here feeling empowered and knowing that you have a voice and knowing that you can make a difference. So now that I've introduced myself, I'd like to have Amanda come up, and she'll be leading us through our next steps. Amanda?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today I will be reading just a few short ayahs of the Quran. I'll be reading from chapter 5 called Surah Al-Ma'idah, which means the table, verses 7 through 9, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم وميثاقه الذي واثقكم به إذ قلتم سمعنا وأطعنا واتقوا الله إن الله عليم بذات الصدور يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على ألا تعدلوا اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم صدق الله العلي العظيم. And in English, these verses mean, in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. And remember the blessing of God upon you and his oath that he made with you when you said, we hear and we obey. And remember God, surely God is knowing of what is in the hearts. O you who believe, be those who stand for God, witnesses for justice. And do not allow enmity or hatred of a people to cause you to be unjust. Be just, for that is nearer to piety. And remember God. Surely God is the all-aware of what you do. God has promised those who believe and do good deeds forgiveness and a great blessing. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may now sit.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Sohail Nanji. I'm the chair of Emgage, Florida. I want to welcome all the attendees tonight, including community members, the massages, many of our community organizations, elected officials, candidates, and dignitaries. At this time, I want the South Florida Emgage board members to just stand for a minute and be recognized for all the hard work and dedication they've given to the organization. Where are the others? All right. Thank you. I also wanted to highlight Yasser Billo, who is the chair of Emgage Florida PAC. Yasser, where are you? I can't see with light. There you are. There's Yasser. Give him a big hand. And with the PAC, we are able to endorse candidates and also do campaign fundraising for them. So Yasser is working very hard in that endeavor. I want to highlight some key aspects of Emgage that you should keep in mind this evening as you hear about the organization and what we do. They say in politics, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Another way to put it is, if you're not turned on to politics, politics will turn on you. Now these sayings, they use humor to get attention, but there's a lot of wisdom, just like any adage. And really what they're telling us is engagement is not an option when it comes to politics. Our community has to engage in politics, and Emgage is the only Muslim organization in the state dedicated to promoting the political engagement of American Muslims. I know many in our communities are immigrants, and political engagement in our countries of origin is many times useless. This is not the case in America. Here, engagement is literally mandatory if we want to be a thriving community. The levers of power in America are accessed via politics. Money alone is not enough. The poster child for this is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, before he ran for president, was a wealthy man, but had no political power until he became president. Only through engaging in politics did he acquire power. Many in our community, alhamdulillah, are doing well financially, but this does not equate to power. We are safe and comfortable in the bubbles of work and home. But just think how many from our community, whether wealthy or not, are treated not like citizens, but suspects when coming back from an overseas trip. If we do nothing, things will only get worse. Think of the boiling frog story, where the frog is boiled slowly so he does not even realize he's being cooked. If we don't act, we will go from second-class citizens to third and fourth. Things will not get better without political engagement. We want our children and future generations to be proud Americans, free to practice as Muslims, and with an equal opportunity for the American dream. This will not happen if we do not act. My message is not one of fear and gloom. The good news is a little bit of political engagement goes a long way, especially in local races. Voting is the simplest and easiest way to engage. Best of all, it's free. State grade Robert Asensio was elected here with a margin of 58 votes, and that was the number of voters that ISOM took in the early voting day to the polls. My business partner ran for vice mayor. He won by 17 votes. There was a race recently, I believe, in Virginia, where it was a single vote that decided, eventually ended up flipping, but it was one vote that was separating the winner from the defeated. Never underestimate the power of your vote. We don't need millions of dollars and thousands of people to make an impact. Just yesterday, 2 women were able to convince Senator Jeff Flake to insist on an FBI investigation for Brett Kavanaugh. To make elected officials take notice of an issue, you only need to meet in their office with 3 people from the district. For a state senator to take notice of an issue, he needs 25 calls from the entire state. Folks, these are not big numbers. We can do this. Some unique aspects of Emgage. We're the only Muslim organization in the state to have a full-time legislative director who spends all of his time in Tallahassee when the Florida Congress is in session. We're the only Muslim organization in the state to have its own political action committee, which can endorse candidates and fund their political campaigns. We are the only Muslim organization in the state to have an open and transparent process through which we endorse candidates, which is why Emgage was one of the few organizations that endorsed Andrew Gillum before the primaries. Thank you. Finally, we have many people in the community that work in the healthcare system. I know many doctors and other physicians. So they will relate to the saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The same applies to political engagement. If we can stop or modify a bad law from passing or advocate for good laws, this is much better than fighting them in courts later on. Dollar for dollar, Emgage provides the best value for the community donation by advocating for policies based on our values and impacting legislation. I urge all of you to contribute to Emgage with any amount that's within your budget. It does not matter how small the contribution. It'll make a difference for our community and for future generations. Thank you. Before I leave, I'm going to introduce, we're fortunate enough to have Representative Sean Shaw here with us. He's a state representative from Tampa. He's running for the next Attorney General of Florida. Yes. He was recently endorsed by Emgage and for his continued advocacy and fight for civil rights, affordable health care, and public education. Please welcome Representative Sean Shaw.
Good evening, everybody. How's it going? I'm the last person that ought to do this, but I'm going to give some relationship advice to whoever left their wedding ring. You better have a good excuse, buddy, as to why you have to go get your wedding ring from table number 2. I hope you're thinking of it now as we speak. I am running. Whoa. You all right? All right. I am running to be the next Attorney General, and I'm convinced I am going to be the next Attorney General of the state of Florida. And people want change. What we've got going on, not only in Florida and in America, is not right. A lot of places. I'm going to tell you a story of why I decided to run for Attorney General. It's the Muslim travel ban. I'm a member of the Florida House of Representatives. I got elected in 2016, and as a Democrat, there's not many of us that are members of the Florida House, so you get used to pressing the red button and sitting in the back and getting on the microphone and yelling. And that's frustrating, but we knew that's what we were doing. And the president passed this racist Muslim ban. And there was nothing I could do about it as a member of the Florida House. But attorneys general around this country filed suit and stopped it. It was not Congress that stopped that. It was not politicians in the Senate or in the U.S. House of Representatives that grew a spine and stood up and said this is wrong. It was attorneys general around this country who filed lawsuits and stopped it. That was an eye-opening moment for me. I've always thought that attorney general is the best job in Florida. This is the job where you go after people doing wrong and you protect people that are being taken advantage of. That's very simple. But it takes some courage. I'm not running to get this seat to get along with everybody. In fact, I know I'm not going to get along with a lot of people because I've made the pledge I intend to be the most aggressive attorney general in this country. And that is not going to make me friends. I'm not going to be the guy that everybody wants to hang out with, but I'm going to be the best attorney general this state has seen in a long time. Because we haven't had that. We have not had that. I want you to take a guess if the Florida attorney general at the time joined the lawsuit against the Muslim travel ban. Absolutely not. And that's a profile in cowardice. Those types of things going on around this country, and you don't have, what word am I looking for to be nice here? And you don't have the heart to join that lawsuit. It's wrong. You're in the wrong office. And so I obviously started looking at the office, and we started winning these special elections around the country and around the state, and I got into the race. And when I first got into the race, it wasn't a unanimous, oh, that's a good decision, Sean. Some people are like, man, you're jumping into the deep end of the pool pretty fast here. But where we stand now, it is clear that people wanted exactly what Andrew and I and that slate that were elected in the primary elections, they want what we're offering, and that is change, and that is a belief that you elect people that want better, you'll get better. That's what you're doing here. You're mobilizing. If you don't do it, the other side and the forces of darkness are going to continue to do what they're doing to this country. And there has never been a more stark example, at least since I've been in this political business, as to these elections right here. This is good and bad. This is future and past. This is, do you want something different, or do you want what's been going on? There is no middle ground. That is what I love about these elections. There's no middle ground. And I am convinced that, at least when I go around this state, people want change. They want something different. But they want someone that they know is going to fight for them. That's what this office is about. I'm running to be your lawyer. That's very simple. I'm running to be your lawyer. Who do you want up there? Someone that has a record of fighting for you and not for powerful corporations. Someone that has a record of being in the Florida House and not being always with the popular vote, but voting for what's right, even if it's not popular at the time. That's what you want as an attorney general. You don't want someone there going up there just to get along with everyone. And so I'm offering something that is not normal in this race. I mean, we haven't had an activist attorney general in a very long time in the state, and I want you to remember the word I just said, activist. And I mean it. When I first got in this race, the other side said, Sean's crazy. He's going to be this activist attorney general that's going to be wild, and he's going to go after people. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I intend to do, and that shouldn't be scary. If you're doing wrong in this state, I'm coming. That's not scary. If you're doing nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about. But if you are doing something wrong, then you ought to be concerned that I may be the next attorney general. And that goes from a local level, that goes to a state level. If the legislature is doing stuff that's wrong, which I'm in the legislature, I guarantee they are. If they're not funding public education like they should, if they're not protecting the environment like they should, I'm going to sue them, all the way up to the president. The minute I'm elected, I am going to join the lawsuit against the president because I believe he's possibly profiting from the presidency. And that's unconstitutional. And so these are aggressive things, and I know I know this is different than what you're going to hear if my opponent were here, but that's what elections are about. There you go. And elections are about visions. And elections are about what I'm telling you I'm going to do when I get there and whether you believe I'll do it. And I want you to know I'm standing up here telling you I'm going to be the most aggressive attorney general this state has ever seen. And that's a good thing because you want some up there protecting you. You want someone up there leading the charge in the issues that matter to us. Criminal justice reform, civil rights, discrimination. What kind of attorney general do you want up there? Someone who wants to be the same as what we've had, or someone that knows exactly like you what it's like to be profiled, what it's like to not feel that you're the same as everyone else? I get it. And this is gonna be tough because what I'm offering to you and the pledges I'm making to you, I know you like it, but there's rooms full of people that do not like it. There are rooms full of people who would rather the status quo continue. But that's what your organization is about. That's why we're going to win these elections. We are going to win these elections because of you all in this room, not because of me. We're going to win them because you are done with the status quo. You are going to get involved and turn people out to vote, and you are going to change this state and this country. That's how we're going to win. And these elections aren't about the next 4 years, the next 8 years. These elections in Florida are for the next 25 years of the future of Florida. That is what we're facing. This is not a normal election. This doesn't come around all the time. This is a generational opportunity to change the future of your state. And we have to take advantage of it. This is not going to come along again. And I know you're watching all the polls, and they're all coming back good, and we're all pumped up. Don't believe it. Act like you're 10 points down. Because that's how we got to run. Because this is going to be close. It's Florida. But I'm convinced on November 6th we're going to win because our vision is better than theirs. Our message is better than theirs. They are on the wrong side of every issue that we care about, every issue I laid out, guns and criminal justice reform and immigration. I mean, and what is fascinating to me is not only will they not take action, but when any time, for example, the detention policy, when we had kids getting locked up in cages down in Homestead, did you hear one Republican say one word about it being wrong to lock up kids in detention centers? Thank you. That's the problem. That's the problem. If you're running for attorney general, if you're running for office and you don't have at least something to say about it, you're not doing this right. So I've got the hookup here coming, but I want to tell you it's an honor to be here. I want your support. I need your support. I need your help to help get me here. And listen, if we get this on November 6th, we can change this country. I want you to think what it's like on November 6th to have Andrew Gillum as governor, Sean Shaw as attorney general, so we can change the future of Florida. I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
All right, quick change of plans. We got some breaking news. We are going to recognize our sponsors and our dignitaries while we're waiting for our presenters to wrap up their salat. So if I say your name or the organization you're representing, if you could please stand and be recognized. We want to be able to make sure you're getting the recognition and the acknowledgement for how important of a role you're playing in all of this. So we have Saif and Amira Ishuf. If you could please rise. And we have Khalid and Diana Mirza. If you could please rise. Dr. Osman Ahmed. The Nanji family, if you could please rise. That's not rising. There we go. That was a half rise. All right, we have international law partners, Zahra Khan and Yasser Billu. Representatives from USIPI, if you could please rise. And Murtec. Murtec, thank you so much. Johan Ali, if you're here, if you could please rise and be recognized. A representative from Greenberg Traurig, if you could please rise. American Textile and Apparel. Iqbal and Shelby Mamdani, if you're here, if you could please rise and be acknowledged. Thank you. And their foundation. Thank you so much. So, thank you to all of our sponsors and our dignitaries. Ooh, I forgot our dignitaries. I do not want to get in trouble. Those here from the Turkish consulate, thank you so much for coming. And Mohsin Jaffer, thank you so much. If you could please stand and be recognized. Judge Norman Hemming, thank you so much for being here tonight. Commissioner Yvette Kohlerboon, hopefully I said your name right. Thank you so much for coming. Our independent candidate, Tim Canova, thank you for being here. If you could please stand. And one last one, Dan from Congressman Hastings' office. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Do we have our next presenters? Maybe? There we go. Yeah, we're waiting on you, buddy.
Oh,
All right.
What am I doing?
You are presenting the next
Okay.
thing.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So I am, I believe, presenting the next award, although I thought what I'm actually going to do is introduce Saif Shuf to come up and help me do this, as we are both longtime friends of the awardee and know him well. So this award and the series of awards tonight are Civic Warrior Awards. We are giving these out for people who have done a great deal of work in the area of civic engagement, bridge building, and working towards increasing the diversity and inclusion of communities like ours and other minority communities in politics, public policy, civic world, and bringing us together so that we can help solve problems that we all face as a community of Americans. And our first award tonight is going to be introduced by our good friend Saif Shuf.
Thank you so much, Khurram. How about a round of applause for Khurram? Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, as Khurram mentioned, our first awardee tonight is somebody who truly represents the ethos of what our organization is about. Our honoree is somebody that I've had the pleasure of knowing over the course of the last 20 plus years. This gentleman is somebody who attended both undergrad and law school at the University of Miami. I had the honor of attending law school with him. He's a proud graduate of public schools, having attended Miami Killian Senior High School. And he's someone that represents the best of what South Florida is all about. His family's legacy of service in this community stretches all the way back to his grandfather being the first African American city manager of the municipality of El Portal in North Dade. Jarrett Davis is somebody who's continued that legacy of service in ways that go long beyond and far beyond all the things that one can list in a curriculum vitae. He proudly serves as the co-managing shareholder of the Greenberg Traurig law firm, and in that role, he oversees a sweeping portfolio in that law firm, including representation of the largest private equity companies, investment management firms, and leading on mergers and acquisitions, as well as helping to support our ecosystem in venture capitalists and a number of other different areas that pertain to the largest companies in our region and around the world as they're establishing themselves in South Florida. He currently serves as the chairman of the board of Nicholas Children Health Systems, formerly known as Miami Children's. He's the immediate past chair of the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. And as I would say, his honors go on and on and on. What I want to say about him is that he is somebody who is never, ever afraid to speak truth to power. He is somebody that understands that in our community, when a platform is presented to you, it means that you have a responsibility to use that platform to speak up and to help amplify and connect others to opportunities that are a part of all the things that have been made possible for you. He's part of an unbelievably loving family. I've gotten to know his mother and father and his dear sister over the course of the last 20 years. My children affectionately refer to him as Uncle Jarrett. For my wife and I, he's somebody that we consider a brother. And close to about 7 years ago, as Khurram and myself and Farouk were looking at would there be any leaders that were not within the Muslim community that would be willing to step up and become a member of the board of our organization, he was the first person to raise his hand. When we had an opportunity to engage in advocacy with lawmakers, Jarrett was always at the table. And the thing about his role with us at Emgage is that he's somebody who's also opened up opportunities for us to build allyship with other historically underrepresented communities. communities that sometimes within our own Muslim American community, we forget just how important it is for us to build inroads. Sometimes when we think that we're alone and that we haven't gone down that journey and that path of disenfranchisement, Jarrett is somebody who's also held us accountable and reminded us that there are others who have walked down the corridors that we've been through and that we can learn from their lessons and we can build off of their legacy. It's with absolute joy, privilege, and honor that I invite up onto the stage one of our 2018 Civic Spirit Award winners for Emgage USA, Mr. Jarrett L. Davis.
You guys weren't kidding. The lights are extremely bright here.
That mic is so not near your mouth at all. You're just going to have to literally put it up here.
There we go. So can everyone hear me? If not, I'll project. One of the benefits of being an attorney, you're used to projecting. So, assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Karam. Thank you, Saif, my brother. And thank you, Emgage, for this honor. You know, my years of serving on the board of Emgage during its formative years were a true privilege. But the true honor of the award comes from knowing Emgage's mission. You know, we throw around words like inclusion, empower, engage, all quite true, all quite accurate. But really, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, we're talking about access. To me, that's really what this award is all about and what it represents, and what I've done my best to foster in whatever spheres of influence I may enjoy. You know, particularly these days, I think we can all agree that access for all people, and in this case, members of the Muslim community, is something we must all push for. And the tools for how we do that in the business world, the political world, and the civic world are all the same. Education, involvement, advocacy, exposure, and resources. And I think we can all agree that in the last few years, we've been taught why granting access to all is so absolutely critical. And that's because true sound decision-making can't be done without input from all communities. I know among you in the audience, there's a number of physicians and a number of engineers. And not one of you would dream of putting together a schematic or design or working on the human body without first taking into account as many relevant variables as possible to ensure you are taking the total environment into account. Well, the same is true for society. Unless all voices are heard, there's a gap. And with that gap comes ignorance. And with that ignorance comes poor planning. And with that poor planning comes poor policy. It's for that reason that I've always seen Emgage's mission, not simply as ensuring inclusion in the Muslim community at a deeper level in our communities, but as importantly, ensuring our communities benefit and take into account your perspectives as we plan and build and grow. Because without that perspective, just as without the perspectives of many others, and you know, in the last couple of weeks, I'm inclined to say that especially includes women, there's a gap in the mosaic that is us. And that simply won't work. My father grew up an African-American man in 1950s Alabama. And as you can imagine, there wasn't an Emgage for him. There wasn't anyone. And I promised myself that if I was ever in a position to help others in a manner I wish someone had done for him, I wouldn't hesitate to do so. So when I say this award means the world to me, that's not an exaggeration. Thank you for blessing me in this way, and God bless you all.
All right, next we're going to have Mehmet and Riaz, come up and present our next award. If you could come on up here.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. It's my honor to introduce our next award recipient, Mr. Murat Güzel. Murat is the CEO of his successful organic food company named Natural Food Group. He holds a PhD in electrical engineering, and he is a first-generation Turkish American. Murat is very active in the U.S. political system. Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro recently and publicly stated that Murat helped build and strengthen the Democratic Party and thanked him for bringing his organization, his compassion, his generosity, and his commitment. In May 2018, Murat received the prestigious Ellis Island Medal of Honor Award. He firmly believes that a strong education, fighting poverty, and proper nutrition can change lives. He provides scholarships to students so that they can follow their own dreams. Murat is also very humble and very generous. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once said, "Generosity is near to God, near to paradise, near to the people, and far from the hellfire." Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Murat Güzel to the stage to receive his award from Mr. Riaz Merchant.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. That's much better. You know, I fly about 4 hours all the way from Pennsylvania to here. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes from you. Thank you very much. Good evening. What is the common thing between Pennsylvania and Florida? They are both swing states. If the Muslims engage, like Emgage, in the politics of this state, we can change the result of the general election, presidential election. I'd like to start something from our founding father. As you know, our founding fathers ratified the Constitution this month, 231 years ago, in Pennsylvania. There is a very famous story I want to share with you today. One of the founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, who was the author of the Constitution, walked outside the Independence Hall. He was on his way home, confident that new Constitution will be a good compass for our new country. Someone saw him. Then someone else. They demanded that to know the details of the Constitution. Ask question, what will America become? He paused and gave a very simple but profound answer. This is a very important quote. Our new Constitution has given you a democracy, but it's up to you to keep it. So Constitution gives us the democracy, it's up to us to keep it. Being politically aware, you are keeping Dr. Benjamin Franklin promise. This country is our country. We own this country. Our democracy is going through tough times these days. Our Constitution is being tested, and everybody responsible in this room and throughout the whole United States. I believe that even from the Islamic perspective, voting is one of the most sacred responsibilities and the most effective tool to have a saying in our future of our country. If we don't vote, I don't think we can complain. Muslims in this country, they have a lot of resources. Once Joe Biden, vice president, told me that, you know, Murat, the Muslim has one of the highest education in this country. Their income bracket very high. He continued, he said, Muslim has the lowest crime rate in this country. But why you are not engaging? Why the Muslims are not engaging? I am asking you tonight, why you are not engaging? I know one reason. We have everything, but we are lacking of the confidence. Somebody is not going to give us the confidence. We have everything to have a confidence. Emri bil Ma'ruf, Nehi Anil Munkar principle is directly related to voting and raising our voices for better democracy and better future for our children. I want to get a quote from President Reagan. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in our bloodstream. It must be fought, protected, handed on them for same to do. You see how President Reagan was true. If you continue with this way, and if you lose the next election, president election, we're going to lose many rights. Who is responsible? Those people? No, we are the responsible people. It is our right. I'm going to end it up right now, wrapping up. It is our right and duty to fight, uphold our democracy. Best fighting is to vote and being active in our political system. It is because of the grassroots activism and civic education you are doing, we will grow as a nation, our democracy will be strengthened. I really want to thank Emgage for this opportunity and also their work. Also, I want to specifically thanks to Huram, he's my friend long time, and specifically, and for what this kind of activity, Emgage is our future. Thank you very much.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Huh? Oh yeah. Yeah, side. Just want to make sure. No, I know. We just have to put the thing. First, I would like to thank you all for coming. It is an honor and blessing to be a part of a community that not only supports efforts, but builds our community in supporting social change. Jazakallahu khairan wa shukran kathiran. Thank you. And we were supposed to start our PowerPoint, but I'd like to introduce my team that's, to me, is my family. And they're the face that supports this community. So I'd like to start off by introducing Rania Al-Jandi, and just give an introduction about what does she do.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. She's my family, but I'm mad at her because she didn't tell me we were going to speak. But my name is Rania, so I'm the programs director for Emgage Florida. And what I do as the programs director is manage all of our grant programs statewide. So those consist of all of our community education programs and our voter outreach programs. So, you know, from the planning of the activities and reaching out to our community, getting the members to support our initiatives and be involved, you know, it's really important that sometimes we have support from outside institutions, but to me, you know, seeing this room full really shows the support we have within our own community as well. So it's very empowering and very motivating, you know, gives us the motivation to keep doing the work that we do. So thank you all for being here, and jazakumullahu khair.
I would like to introduce David Sleeth, our Legislative Director.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Like you said, my name is David. I'm the Legislative and Policy Director for the Florida chapter of Emgage. I'm based in Tallahassee. My main job is to work with our elected officials to make sure that our elected officials are working for our benefit, that we're proposing policies to them that they can implement that would benefit our community and the community at large. So most of the time I'm up in Tallahassee, but a lot of you might see me come down every once in a while for an event or a fundraiser. You know, we have to follow up with our politicians wherever they are. But thank you.
Thank you, David. And David's very shy, but he does hold our elected officials accountable for us. So I'd like to thank him a lot for doing that. I would like to, I don't know how to introduce this guy, but he said he has a face of radio, and I like to take his jokes. So I want to introduce our South Florida director, your child of this community, Ammar Ahmed. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Yemen is a very smart woman, mashallah. That's why she's the executive director. She saves the best for last, like always. So I might not be the prettiest, but I'm for sure the brightest with these lights on me. I don't know, it's difficult to describe my job, but I know my job is made a lot easier because of the folks in this room. We were stressing out 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I said, how can we fill this ballroom? And I said, South Florida is one of the most dynamic communities, not in the state of Florida, but across the country. How diverse this room is. The diversity doesn't stop at interfaith or the color or the thought. It is spectacular to see so many beautiful faces staring back at me. And so I just want to say thank you for coming out. I just want to give a few shout outs if it's okay with you. Dr. Bassem is here with the ICBR crew. Thank you so much, Dr. Bassem does such great work at the Islamic Center of Boca Raton. We have Sister Farzana with the Kendall crew, mashallah. Brother Shabir is here. He's looking away. It's okay. It's all right. There's so many talented and wonderful people. We have the FIU crowd here. Dr. Misbahi is always there for us, is always a pillar of support. So many wonderful organizations. We had so many Muslim candidates run in the August primaries. They did such tremendous work to inform our community, to educate our community. Some of those candidates are here tonight, and hopefully some bigger things are coming out, inshallah, soon in 2020. Saima Faruqi, Imtiaz Muhammad, such great work they did, mashallah. It's heartfelt. I think this room attracted some of the biggest names and some of the biggest stars tonight because they know that the Muslim community's power and strength. And we just want to give a quick presentation of the work that we did for the previous year and what we're doing for the 2018 election cycle. So we're ready and we're geared up for November, but also looking forward to the 2020 generals and primaries. Can we get that PowerPoint up?
So Islam and our social responsibility. Going back, right? Sorry, guys. Islam and our social responsibility. Why? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he talked about civic duties, he promoted the civic duty for his people. Before Abraham Lincoln, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam freed slaves, gave women rights, and also gave people a voice. So it's to me, it's very important that we are engaged with the political world. As a person who did da'wah for a long time, I know and I feel and I'm emotionally invested in this community and what we do, and my team as well. And you see our faces here. But our team, mashallah, do a lot of engaging. Is it? Okay. So, children being separated from their mothers and fathers on borders. Muslim ban by entering the country and being with their family. Innocent black men losing their lives. Foreign democracies. And causing our brothers and sisters from overseas to suffer. This is issues that we fight for. But we also need partners and coalition building as well. Thank you. Jazakallah khairan. Now more than ever, this time we need to stand up for injustices happening around the world. And this is so important, that everyone's issue in the United States is our issues. No matter if it's a Muslim man, no matter separating children. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was always for the people. No matter if you're a Jew, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're a non-believer. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made this very important, that we care for one another. And as Americans, we're one ummah, we're one people. The brother right here, Brother Muhammad, he said it very clearly. Jefferson, while campaigning for religious freedom in Virginia, demanded recognition of religious rights. And you see the depictions of the Mohammedans, and that we were a part of the fabric. The founding fathers thought about Islam and Muslims in America. Some of us here were brought intentionally, and some of here people come unintentionally. So Muslims were here, were always fabric of this country. And we have to understand that identifying ourselves as a person who is third generation American, we must not allow that that we cannot identify ourselves as Muslims, that we're not a part of this fabric of society. So what is Emgage? Emgage is a foundation, leadership development, voter education, voter engagement. Emgage actions are issue advocacy candidates, legislative agendas. Emgage PAC endorses campaigns and fundraise, political impact. I would like to have David come up and talk a little bit about the political impact.
Assalamu alaikum. So, like I said earlier, I'm the Legislative and Policy Director. So one of the things that I'm constantly looking out for is areas where we can make a significant change in society. There's a lot of issues that we care about as a Muslim community, but we don't always have the power to change everything just by ourselves. But there are a lot of areas that have huge impacts on people's lives where we can actually make a big difference. One of the biggest things that's happening right now in Florida politics is Amendment 4. It's going to be on the November ballot, and this amendment, should it be passed, would restore voting rights to 1.4 million Floridians. This is the opportunity that we have to make the biggest change in civil rights in our lifetimes. Emgage has been working with coalition partners across the state to make this a reality. A couple of years ago, we were running around the state getting people to sign petitions so we would have the opportunity to get this on the ballot. We were a part of a group of people who got 1 million petitions signed so that this could get put on the ballot this November. One of the other things that we also have to realize is that while we may not be the largest community, religious community in the United States or even in Florida, we do have significant numbers. And so many of the elections that happen around this country are decided by small, slim margins. And these elections... They were there a second ago. But these elections are just a few examples of elections that were decided by, just a few thousand votes or even 75,000 votes. In the state of Florida, we have over 100,000 registered Muslims as voters in this country, registered voters as Muslims in this country. So we would be able to have decided nearly any of these elections that are up on the screen. So one of the other things that Emgage has been working on, and I'm going to steal a little bit of Rania and Amar's thunder because this has been their pet project for the last several months, but we've been working to get the Muslim community registered to vote. The first step to be able to implement any change in this country, in this society, in democracy, is to vote. And you can't vote unless you're first registered. So we've been working around the state to get as many Muslims as we can registered before the October 6th deadline. So if anyone in this room is not registered to vote, we would love to register you to vote. October 9th. For the November 6th election, the registration deadline is October 9th. We are on track right now to register over 2,000 Muslims just before this deadline. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rania, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we run.
So a lot of you are familiar with our work, so I'm going to try to keep this brief and try to work the clicker at the same time, which is a tough task. But basically, these are the issues, these are the areas that we're involved in, right? So how you can think of it is a continuous process. So first, we go out and we educate the community about the issues because, even like myself, I haven't worked in politics very long, and this is a new area to me. So we understand that people's daily lives is very busy. It's hard to know all of the policy issues, all of the candidates, to know all of the information. So what Emgage tries to do is get that information for you, synthesize it in a way that is convenient and efficient to process, and then we'll go out. So the community education, part of that looks like town halls and trainings. We could do civic engagement trainings. We can come to the community center, to the masjid, and just let you guys know about what are the current issues so that we build the awareness. Once we've built the awareness, Then we're going to reach back out to the community as voters, right, as educated citizens. And now we're going to get people registered to vote. We're going to make phone calls reminding you guys to vote. We're going to knock on your doors reminding you to vote. You might hear from us 3, 4, 5 times before the election to make sure that the Muslim community gets out the vote and that we convey that message to our candidates about why our community is valuable and why they need to tap into our power in order to be supported. But it's not just for the elections. So after the elections, we're continuing that engagement with our elected officials, right? It's not just about getting out the vote, getting them elected, but then we want to make sure that they're advocating our issues that are important to our communities and, like Yemen said, to the communities of everyone in America and, you know, the communities that we support. So it's a full process. We engage with the community, we engage with the elected officials, and part of what we're trying to build as well is what we always tell people is we can't advocate on your behalf. You know, we're 4 people. We can't be throughout the entire state, and we also can't meet with every elected official. So what we're really trying to do is empower our community to be able to be engaged themselves and be able to speak to the candidates themselves and do congressional visits, come with us to Hill Day, advocating for bills that are important to us. So it's really important that we all embrace this role and responsibility as a community. And then finally, we have leadership development, so passing on the torch, right? Bringing in young people, bringing in all different people from all walks of life and making sure that the development is in place so that there's a new class of leaders, you know, as we continue the cycle. See, this is the clicker trouble. So this was our recent Hill Day this year. We met with something like over 50 elected officials. We had a party of over 100 individuals. And we advocated for bills that we actually did see traction on, so hate crime bills that have passed. We advocated for the Rohingya genocide to be recognized, for sanctions to be placed on the Burmese military. We advocated for immigration rights. So these are important, you know, initiatives that we really need you guys to be a part of, inshallah. And, you know, you being here tonight is definitely the first step. So now I'm going to hand it back over to Yemen to speak about, you know, the dynamics of who are the Muslim voters in America, and we'll try to move it along about who are the voters and where our power is and what we can achieve, especially when we talk about Emgage and Emgage Action. Thank
you. The numbers that we see on the screen here are from Pew Research. So they're not our numbers that when we survey the Muslim community, Pew Research says the American Muslim electorate, the American Muslim community is the most diverse community. And we see that in this room as well. So no one has a majority. When we hear all the time in the news media, who speaks on behalf of Muslims, who speaks on behalf of Islam, the major problem with that in the States is that it's difficult who's going to be the leading voice and the leading charge. And like Rania was saying earlier, all our voices in this room need to be included in the congressional meetings we take place, when we do our voter outreach, when we do our issue advocacy, because our community is so dynamic. And we see those numbers: African Americans 24%, South Asians 23%, Arab Americans 22%, Latinos 6%. And the fastest growing group within the Muslim community are Latina women, being the largest subject. And we have to make sure that everyone's voice and everyone's equity is included in the political process. Similar numbers again. We look at the emerging voter demographic, who's on the rise. Jorge Ramos always says that the Hispanic American vote will be the deciding factor in this election cycle. Muslims say that we're going to be the deciding voting factor in this election cycle. So it seems, prayer times, that's pretty critical as well. You know, for a staff, mashallah, with a lot of Pakistanis, we're really bad at IT. So some stereotypes are not true. So hell, I'm joking. Please forgive me. Yeah. Our goal is inshallah to increase. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's reshift. So our goal is to increase voter engagement by 17% across the board. We have numerous programs doing that. We're working in South Florida specifically with 5 Islamic centers and 1 university to have poll parties around early voting and driving people out to the polling locations. More information about that will be coming out shortly. These are the states that we're active in. Like the previous speaker said before, that the states that we're active in are in swing states with heavy Muslim populations, and we want to get everyone across the board active. But what I would love to see is Florida be the model forward, because I understand the dynamic and the power that's in this room here. The 2018 goals.
The 2018 goals are increasing Muslim voter turnout by 9%, issue advocacy, and revising and engaging leaders programs, increasing local and national coalition partners. I'd like to thank our partners here, Save Voices and Flick, who also came to attend. Thank you very much. You guys are our team, our support. Increasing Emgage ground presence in counties, and having that experienced university students to gain value and experience in bills that we're passing and put that in actual numbers. I would like to have everyone know that Emgage Actions actually we have a free membership. So if you don't know, now you know, get your free membership. So please go on our website. I'm sorry, I'm a little New Yorker, so I got that little bit swag in me, but yeah. So please get your free memberships. We do a lot of issue advocacy, candidate support. We email you all of the advocacy things, issues, but so you have to sign up to our newsletter. And if you saw that little plaque that we had with the diagram, yeah, just take a picture and then sign up, and you'll start getting our newsletters. Emgage Action for dollar amount. I wanted to kind of give you guys what your money is actually going to give for Emgage Action. The legislative and policy, just imagine 53% goes to that. 13% goes to data analysis support. Office and legal financial compliances are 11%. Market and communication 19%. And America Votes National Partnership is 4%. And our America Votes National Partnership is our C4. So every dollar that we take from our community goes into all of these programs. Emgage Action membership is not just a lobbying group, but it belongs to the community. Our aim is to build an institution that will be 10 of 1,000 dues pays of members, so we can show that the Muslim community can be active, mobilized, and engaged and constituent around the core. Emgage Action will lobby on issues on behalf of the Muslim community, but not just on the Muslim community issues, but on social justice issues that will affect the values of our community. And I'd like to thank you all, and our team would like to thank you all for your support and your efforts.
One last thing. I know everyone has their phone. I want everyone to take their phone out. It's okay. It's all right. Don't take a photo of me, but just take your phone out.
Can we put the communication back up?
Yeah, let's put it back up.
Real quick.
One more thing. There's one more slide. If we can put the...
One more thing.
Can we put the PowerPoint back up if possible?
We refuse to get off until it goes back up.
I have offended. I have. You're right. I have offended the powers that be. I will. I'm sorry, Riaz uncle. I apologize. Everyone take out your cell phone. Open your text messaging box. Just the texting app you use. Not WhatsApp. Don't open WhatsApp. The text messaging box. And you're going to text 864-237. That's what you're going to type in 864-237. I'm looking at you guys. You guys aren't doing it. Please, come on. I made one joke. I apologize. I'm sorry. The number is 864-237. And once you've typed it, the 2, and then you're going to send... Okay, guys, come on. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Okay, just text the word Emgage. If you need the spelling, it's right behind me. E-M-G-A-G-E. I promise you the next speaker is a lot more entertaining and a lot better looking than me. While Azlahat is going to come up shortly. It's a lot more entertaining, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, I'd like to invite Dr. Aisha Subhani to come to the stage and introduce our keynote speaker for tonight.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, everyone. So I was, Shabir uncle kindly asked me to do the most difficult task of the evening, which is to introduce somebody who's really a giant and a stalwart in the civil liberties initiatives. And we have a short time, so I'm going to try to give a brief picture, although it won't do him justice, about what this man has done just for the greater American community and for all of the disenfranchised. So as you know, we are honored to have Dr. Howard Simon with us today as our keynote. And many of you don't know that when he first started his illustrious career, he's actually a doctorate in legal and political philosophy and social ethics. And he graduated from the University of Minnesota. From then on, he was actually teaching at the University of Minnesota and was faculty member at the Department of Philosophy and Religion in DePaul University in Indiana. And from there, I'm not sure when he first endeavored in his studies that he knew where he was going to go, but he started as the ACLU participant and director in Michigan and then in Florida. And this man has almost half a century of service to civil liberties. So just to get an idea, half a century, almost 50 years of service. And to give an idea of the things that he's been wrestling with and things that he's been advocating for, it's for our rights, our children's rights, our grandchildren's rights, the right for religion, the right for freedom of speech, immigration rights, the rights for freedom of life and the choice of life, right? And now, more importantly, he's been doing the great service for election and voting reform, Amendment 4, which is a very key factor, especially in the state of Florida. We have thousands and thousands of people that are being stripped of their right to vote, to be Americans. And he's standing for those people. And it's sad for us because he's going to be retiring from the ACLU, but I think that this is probably, it's not an end, it's a beginning for him, because greater things to come. People of great wisdom and great service, they don't diminish, they only increase. And I think that is how we would describe Dr. Howard Simon. Our prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he had a beautiful tradition. He said, none of you truly believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And Dr. Howard Simon is somebody that has taken all of the privileges that he has been given and tried to enhance those in other people and to restore that in people that have had that taken away. And so it is my great honor and privilege to ask Dr. Howard Simon to join us and share his wisdom with us. Thank you.
Good evening, salam alaikum, shalom alaikum. So in the few moments that I have with you, I prepared some remarks that are about two radically different topics that I want to try to bring together and discuss with you. The first is a crisis that we are facing, and the other is an historic opportunity. But I want to take a moment to say first that the Muslim community has, I think, probably more allies in the non-Muslim community than you probably know. I'm one of those, but earlier this week we lost someone who was also very, very important, Roberta Chevron, who was the director of MCCJ, which was an important allied organization, and I think we just want to just take a second and just try to remember her contributions and her contributions to diversity and inclusion in the South Florida area. So I want to talk, I know you've had a lot of speeches, so you'll forgive me because I was asked to give a keynote speech, but I want to talk a little seriously about two things. I said, first of all, the crisis. And the crisis is that our national policy under the Trump administration and Attorney General Jeff Sessions with regard to immigration and immigrants, I'm embarrassed and ashamed to say, is based on racism and bigotry. But I do want to take a minute to at least put this in some historical context. This is not the first time in American history that this has occurred. We have, unfortunately, a long history of this. In the late 19th century, we tried to exclude Chinese people from America. They were good enough to build roads and bridges and railroads and so on, but not good enough to be admitted into this country and allowed to be citizens. In the 1920s, we rounded up immigrants and deported them without hearings, without a trial, without lawyers, and sent them back mostly to Middle Eastern, Middle European countries. We had a historically horrible incident just about 80 miles off the coast of Miami when in 1939 the ship St. Louis, which was filled with 900 German Jews who were attempting to flee Nazi Germany for their lives, were not permitted to land in this country by probably one of the most progressive presidents in the history of the country, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, were not permitted to land. The ship was forced to turn around. Some people got off in England. The rest went back to Bremerhaven in Germany and were pretty much all annihilated in the Holocaust. In 1942, we had, by the same president, in fact, I don't want to blame just President Roosevelt, virtually everybody in the country, everybody, the progressive governor of California, Earl Warren, the media, the press, public opinion, everybody seemed to support the fact that for the sake of our security, we had to round up about 120,000 people of Japanese ancestry and put them in internment camps, even though not a single one was ever suspected of any kind of hostile activity. But then we come to the Trump administration, and I have to say that the Trump administration's animosity and hostility and bigotry towards immigrants in this country is more comprehensive and more racist than any of the previous incidents that I mentioned. You recall that he ran for president and then, upon being elected, tried to implement policies with regard to Muslim immigration. I appreciate what Sean Shaw said earlier when he was here, but in fact, and the role of attorney generals in challenging the Muslim travel ban, and in fact, the case that did get to the United States Supreme Court was brought by the Hawaii Attorney General, but our organization filed the first Muslim ban challenge. We got the temporary restraining order on the Saturday night after the president issued the injunction against that. We filed 6 different lawsuits, including one in the federal court in Virginia, in which a federal judge struck down the Muslim ban on grounds of religious discrimination and religious intolerance. Now, much to my mortification, I have to say that in June of this year, the United States Supreme Court upheld the third version of the Muslim ban. We kept challenging it, he kept rewriting it, and so on, and by a 5-4 vote, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the Muslim ban. So you think that one vote, in light of what's been happening this week, one vote in the U.S. Supreme Court doesn't matter. It matters quite a bit. Interestingly, that when they upheld the Muslim ban, the court also specifically reversed the decision that was made in 1942 in the Korematsu case to uphold the internment of Japanese Americans. But that's one of the themes that I want to talk to you about. How easy it is to look back more than 40 years and say, oh, what a mistake that was, what an injustice that was inflicted, and so on. That is easy to do. The difficult thing is to recognize an injustice when it's happening and have the courage to address it now when it really counts. But the Trump travel ban is based on racism and bigotry. Listen to what he said. We needed the travel ban to keep the country safe. What does that mean? that means that Muslims are terrorists and that Islam is a hostile religion. And in order to keep the country safe, we have to keep all Muslims out of the country. With regard to Mexicans, he said they were all rapists and murderers. He said, and I apologize for this language, but this is the president's language, not my language. He said with regard to Haiti and countries in Africa, they were all shithole countries. It seems that the president's concern is fundamentally that the world is changing and that America's historic role as a welcoming country to people from all over the world is changing what America looks like. It is becoming less white, more multicultural, more racially integrated, and this is what he doesn't like. So look, I'm an optimistic person. That's the only way I've been able to operate, directing 2 state affiliates of the ACLU now for 44 years. I'm a very optimistic person. I always think that civil rights work is 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. We're in a giant step back now, but it's still two steps forward. So my optimism leads me to a medical analogy. Dr. Jaffer, I apologize for this, but I think America now has a fever. It's a cold. The fever will break one day. It may break in less than 40 days in the November election. It may break in the presidential election of 2020, but it will break. This will pass. And eventually America will get back to the job of striving to achieve the constitutional values that the country really does stand for. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equality, due process, privacy, and so on. Let me just give you 3 examples, and not to take too much time, but I want to give you 3 examples of the worst of what we're dealing with now, what Trump and Jeff Sessions are doing. Number 1, winding down the status for 800,000 dreamers in this country, young people who were brought to this country as children. No other country whatsoever, and were given status by the previous president, Barack Obama, and allowed to work in the country and allowed to stay in the country. And this president is winding down the legal status. That is his term, winding down. Winding down means that unless Congress responds or the courts respond or we are successful in bringing this to the courts, winding down means mass deportation. It means rounding up 800,000 young people and deporting them to a country that almost all of them do not know. That's number 1. Stripping away temporary protected status. This country has had a long tradition of granting temporary protective status to people from countries that have had economic disasters, weather disasters, the earthquake in Haiti, countries in Central America, and so on. But those people are largely not white. So he is stripping away temporary protective status, and those people here in our own community in South Florida, where we have hundreds of thousands of people from Haiti, are being rounded up, people with no criminal record whatsoever, who are longtime residents of our community, are being rounded up and deported back to Haiti. The third one, which is the challenge to what could be, amazingly, what could be more cruel than ripping away children from families who arrive at the border and present themselves at the border for asylum because they're coming from countries where gangs have taken over the government, where their lives are at risk, and so on. And ripping away children from them as a way to send a message, don't come here. I want to say I have been an ACLU member before I was lucky enough 44 years ago to get a job working for the ACLU, but I was a member and a donor and a supporter years before that, so almost 50 years of my life. I have never been so proud of the ACLU when it went into court and got a judge to strike down the child separation policy of the Trump administration. And had the federal government order that 1,900 children be found and reunited with their children. You will hear more about this because we have attorneys from our Immigrants' Rights Project that are now in Guatemala and El Salvador trying to find the families and reunite them. I know that they were down there last week, and a crew from 60 Minutes followed them down there. So there will be more that I'm sure that you will hear from them. So as I said, I think that fever will break. And so I'm proud of the lawsuit challenging and striking down the child separation policy. We have protected hundreds and thousands of people who have been attempted to be deported from temporary protected status. And I want to tell you just about one case and the cruelty of that case. So here our attorneys go into federal court to try to protect somebody from being deported, and the hearing takes place in the morning. They go into federal court, and the federal judge says, "Where's your client?" We don't know where our client is. We start talking with the attorneys from the federal government, and the federal government has to tell the judge, "Oh, the person whose trial it is today, we put him on a plane this morning and flew him back to his country." The judge said, "What? That we have a hearing right now on that person's status. I want that plane to be turned around and that person brought back." The federal government had to get on the phone and call back to that plane, and the plane was turned around. So I don't know what's happened to our country with regard to immigration. We now arrest, deport, detain, and separate children from their families. This is not the country that I grew up in. I grew up in New York City. I'm second generation. My grandparents fled a country where there was violence against them as well. And I grew up where we recognized two things about immigration. That immigration was an investment, that maybe it won't happen in the first generation, but it happens in the second and the third generation. Look at the city of Miami. The city of Miami is not the same city it was 25 years ago. The Cuban community that migrated from Cuba to Miami, hundreds of thousands of people built Coral Gables, built Miami into a world-class city. Immigration is an investment in the future of this country. The other thing that immigration is a moral imperative, I think. I grew up, as I said, in New York, and in New York, the Statue of Liberty stands in New York Harbor. And in the base of the Statue of Liberty, the words of a Jewish American poetess named Emma Lazarus is carved into the stone. And we all know some of those words about give me your tired, your weary, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. That's what America has been, and it will be again one day when this fever has broken. A welcoming, opening nation to people from all over the world. So, look, I like to say and reassure you that the policies on immigration of the Trump administration are cruel and illegal. Clearly, they're cruel, but I want to say that they're not illegal until we have good cases filed by good lawyers who appear before good and courageous judges who have the courage to strike down these policies. So they're not illegal until somebody says they are illegal, and that's what I want to thank you for. Your help in supporting the work of our organization has given us the ability to do that. let me change the topic just for a second and talk about not the crisis, but the historic opportunity we have. And some of it was on the video earlier, and it's what you will find on your ballot this November as Amendment 4. I was one of the 3 people who wrote the language that you will find on the ballot on Amendment 4. This is the most important thing our organization has ever been involved in. We have put our hands in our pockets as deep as we can. We have invested over $5 million in this effort. This is something that can transform the state of Florida. Transform the state of Florida, and so many of the policies that you are concerned about, that your great staff from Emgage described to you, can be made easier if we can allow 1.4 million people to regain their eligibility to be able to vote in the state of Florida. Look, I want to say a few things about this historic opportunity, because this is an opportunity that comes around only once in a lifetime. The policy that we are trying to repeal on the ballot was put into the Florida Constitution in 1868. The people of the state of Florida have never had an opportunity to vote on this. Never. This will be the first time in 150 years. There are lots of reasons. Look, there are lots of reasons why this is an important issue, but the message that is winning, and all of the polling shows that it's likely to win, and if it does, my God, we will have worked together to transform our state. The message that the people of Florida are rallying around is a very simple and a moral message. People who violate the law deserve to be punished. But when they have fulfilled all the terms of their punishment, when they have done everything that a judge has imposed upon them, incarceration, probation, parole, fines, victim restitution, when they have done everything that a judge has asked of them, they have earned their way back into the community, including their eligibility to vote. That's the message that I think is going to win in less than 40 days at the ballot. Less than 40 days. But I want to be honest with you. If I stopped there, I would not be honest. There's more to this story. That is the message we're taking to the people, but there is more to this story. We know that we have a broken and unfair and discriminatory criminal justice system. The criminal justice system that relegates almost 2 million people to second-class status in America. We know that we have a system in which votes are suppressed by keeping people away from the ballot. And that's what this system is. It is the most effective voter suppression method in the entire country, where we have politicians. Imagine politicians stand and decide who is eligible to vote. But like most problems in America, if you scratch the surface, what you ultimately find is that this is a problem whose origin is in racial problems in this country. So give me a minute, because this is something you all need to know. Am I running out of time? Oh, I'm sorry. Look, in 1868, Florida was a state in the Confederacy. It lost the Civil War, and in losing the Civil War, it was going to have to extend the rights of citizenship to the freed slaves. And this was a serious problem. In many parts of Florida, there were more freed slaves than there were white people. So they had to devise what were called black codes. And many of the southern states devised black codes to try to rob black people of the right to vote and any political power. There were many elements of the black codes. Every element of the black code has been struck down except the system of lifetime felon disfranchisement in the state of Florida. And this is the system that I'm confident that we are going to win in just a few days. So let me conclude by a few personal remarks, if I may. So I'll just be a minute. As was mentioned, I will be retiring after 44 years as an ACLU affiliate director. I will be retiring as the longest-serving staff member for the ACLU in the organization's 98-year history, almost half the life of our organization. For me, this has not just been a job. I want to say that this has been a passion for social justice. It's a passion for social justice that was exhibited when I was a college student, and I and two of my friends received a telegram from Dr. Martin Luther King to come and help pass the Voting Rights Act by marching and working in Selma in 1965. So I just want to say in conclusion that I come to this work from a humanistic, secular tradition of Judaism. And that tradition, I want to say, is best exhibited by the Passover celebration. Many of you, I hope, will have attended a Passover Seder, and if you have read from the book that Jews use in the Seder, and the book is the Haggadah. And during the service, what Jews are commanded to do, because the Passover service is a commemoration of the liberation of the Israeli tribes from slavery in Egypt. And what every Jew is commanded to do is to identify themselves with those who are seeking freedom from slavery. And they are also commanded, in the phrase that I love so much, to keep searching for freedom and keep searching for what is called in the Haggadah uncovering a formerly unrecognized servitude. Search for uncovering the formerly unrecognized servitude. What does that mean? It means, what are we missing now? What did we miss 10 years ago that we now appreciate? What lack of freedom are we missing now? So I want to leave you with this. I'll be retiring, but I want to tell you I'm going to be staying as active as I can be in political activities to prevent the destruction of American democratic values in this country. But I want to say that the deprivation of the right to vote for 1.4 million people, the fear and misunderstanding of and discrimination against the Muslim community in this country, that is the unrecognized servitude that exists that we have to fight against. So let me just say once more in conclusion that it's easy to look back 40 years ago and see an injustice and apologize for it, as President Reagan did in the 1980s when he signed legislation apologizing for the internment of 120,000 Japanese citizens. That's easy to do. Here's the difficult thing: to recognize a servitude and an injustice now and have the courage to fight against it now when it really counts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Syra. Khalid, you know him. He's a stalwart of the Muslim engagement in the community. And he was a big friend of Roberta Sherwin. May God rest her soul. But I was introduced to ACLU Howard Simon 20 years ago, long before 9/11. And when I met him and I said, oh, ACLU, the tail that wags the dog. You know, we looked at ACLU as a nuisance. But it's when I realized the work they did, they held up our politicians, our legislators' feet to fire. They believed in democracy and civil rights for every American. He's done that. I've become a fan, and he's become a friend also. I'm so sorry he's retiring, but he deserves retirement. I only hope he has spawned a lot of Howards all around America. I hope so. Khalid, let's present. We are going to present.
He's a friend of community, and we hope he will stay in the community to advise us and consult us. I'm hoping he will stay. Don't go to Michigan. It's too cold over there. Like my brother over here came from Michigan, staying over here now, so he will stay with us, so he can help, guidance, and prayers and support. We need him. He's too young to retire and go home, you know.
This is the Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you, Howard.
Okay, and I see a lot of you putting sugar in your coffee. Monitor that because we're still going to have dessert, so don't sugar yourself up too much. I'd like to introduce Wael now to come up. He's our CEO. If you could please welcome him to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum. Are you guys still awake? How many coffees have you had? Add 3. All right. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Wael Zayat. I'm CEO of Emgage and Emgage Action. Now, I'll explain to you very quickly what that means in a second, because sometimes I'm confused about it. Look, I'm a first-generation Muslim Syrian immigrant. I'm exactly the person who is banned from coming to the United States. Right? And guess what? I spent 10 years working on national security. I worked on Middle East security, on the counter-ISIS campaign, on refugees vetting. I've served in Iraq. I've worked on Syria. I've worked on Turkey. Has President Trump done any of that? Has he put himself in harm's way? Has he defended your freedoms? I did. You are. And many people are every day, whether they're Muslim or not, whether they're black, white, Latino, green, black, I don't know what. We are, because that's what it means to be an American. It's not the color of your skin or the God or no God that you may worship or not. It's the principles and the values you believe in that make us Americans. So, on November 6th, what Emgage is doing is calling 40,000 Muslims, and then another 40,000 Muslims via automatic dialing, that's 80,000, to get out and vote. And we are also calling another 80,000 to get out and vote for specific candidates. That's 160,000 phone calls. Emgage does the get out the vote, nonpartisan. Emgage Action, we pick the candidates and we say who we want. We're the only Muslim organization that can do that work. We do it based on real data that we have vetted and that runs all kind of algorithm. I'm not a math guy, but I know there's some doctors here and engineers who know that stuff. I'm just a poli-sci guy. And it tells us with certainty, within certainty, that these are likely Muslim households. That's how we do it. The staff that stood up here, and I really want you to join me in a hand of applause for them again one more time. Those 4 and the volunteers they lead are the ones doing these calls and knocking on doors for November 6th. Emgage Action picks the issues that matter to you. We advocate on it on the local and national level, and we pick the candidates that are going to vote the way that not just we want to, but the way our principles would want them to. People who uphold the values that made my family want to immigrate here. Tolerance, inclusion, respect for the rule of law, religious liberty and freedom. That's what we're talking about. That's what Emgage Action does. And your contribution for it, it's not tax deductible, I'm sorry to tell you, because it is partisan, but it really, 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 really helps. That's how we hire legislative directors here. That's how we hire legislative directors in DC. That's how we look at candidates and we vet them. That's how you pay a salary for somebody like me if you want a professional running an organization. That's the fact. That's how this works. If you want professionals, you can get professional results. If you don't, we're going to keep getting Trumps. That's the situation you're dealing with, and I am as motivated and as excited to get us to that next level as a community, and I am so eager to see what happens on November 6th, and what's going to happen on 2020, what's going to happen forever, inshallah, in this community, because we're building an institution that is based on dedicated staff, volunteers, board members, and a community that is engaged. That's what we're all about. That's what we're doing. And now I'll turn it to the fundraising because we're going to need your support. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you. Good evening. That was fun for last 5 minutes. It's an honor and privilege for me to be introducing Mrs. Naima Khan Ghani tonight. She has been described by many. You can clap. She has been described by many as inspirational. As a teacher for a lifetime, she knows exactly what's needed to empower our community. She's dedicated, professional, and a true leader. She has made MSAs at high school campuses a reality. She has taken medical missions to Caribbean countries through Friends of Humanity International and NOAA Southeastern University. She is determined and is working endlessly to make annual Eid holiday a reality on Broward County school calendar. She serves as a board member for Friends of Humanity International and is always involved with local community projects. In the words of Khalil Gibran, the teacher who is indeed wise does not bid you to enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your mind. Indeed, she has inspired so many today's leaders and future leaders to reach their true potential. Without any further ado, I will ask Sister Naima Khan Ghani to come to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I won't be long because I know you guys have been sitting here for a long time, so I'm going to be very short, brief, and sweet. I just want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this opportunity and allowing me to be a part of this event. I'm really humbled by this award because those of you who know me know that this is not my thing. But thank you very much. I want to thank Emgage for honoring me. And I also want to thank my family, my children, Akil, Afifa, and Halima. They put up with me and my crazy ideas. And my friends who are here in the audience today, thank you for your support in the community efforts. You've never said no to me, mashallah. Thank you for that. And also my non-Muslim friends who are here tonight. I'd just like to recognize Vice Mayor Yvette Colburn, her husband Omar, Alexandra Davis, who is running for City Commission, and my very good friend from the School Board of Broward County, Mr. Tom Albano. Of course, Judge Norman Hemming, they are my guests tonight, so thank you so much. Quick message for you. I think it's very important, especially this is Emgage, and I don't consider myself politically involved at all. I always say I shy away from politics. But I want to implore you to please let your voices be heard in your community, even if you're not politically geared towards, issues that affect you, but you should have your voice be heard and make sure that whatever you do in this community, that your intentions are right and pure. Because if you have the right intentions, doors open up and things happen. If the doors don't open, maybe it's not the time, but don't give up. Persevere, persist, and good things will happen, inshallah. I also want to say to you that just ask and just do it. Don't wait. My message, and my vice mayor from the city of Miramar can testify that all I did was ask her, and Miramar has now become our best friend with the Muslim community. So again, just ask and just do it. Assalamu alaikum.
Another award that's going to be presented by Yasser and Azhar. If you guys could come to the stage and present our next award. And then I promise we'll have our funny moments. Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I don't know where Azur is, but I have no responsibility here whatsoever. Azur is supposed to be presenting. Azur, they're waiting on you. It's all right. It's only about 350 people waiting on you, Azur. I mean, he's a doctor, so he thinks he can make us wait, right? Azur, hustle a little bit. Here comes Azur. Okay, I'm just here to present Azur.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you and all of your families. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce our next award recipient. Somebody that is, some words to describe him, very honest, hardworking, and sincere. Very patient, humble, and generous. Very funny, very friendly, and very hardworking. He's a man that essentially is always very giving, is always helping others in the community, and always serving others. He always has a smile on his face, and he's someone that I've been privileged to work with on the board at the Islamic Center of Greater Miami. He's somebody that like I said, has a very big heart, and you never see him get upset or angry. He's assisted in many organizations throughout South Florida, both locally as well as internationally. A man of a lot of honor and integrity. He's a CFO of the American Textile Company, and has an educational background in business and taxation. And like I said, he serves as a treasurer at the Islamic Center of Greater Miami. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Brother Salim Surya as our Emgage Award recipient. Next.
Thank you, Emgage, and thank you, community, for giving me this order. And by accepting this award, I would like to encourage our more community members, especially our youth, to get involved, gear up, and be engaged and participate. Thank you.
Technically, 2 quick awards. So as we move into day 2 of our evening tonight, I just wanted to, I wanted to take a minute and acknowledge 2 folks in this room that I think the community knows are strong participants in everything that happens in this community. One is Suhail Nanji. Suhail Nanji has been Suhail Nanji has been not only a supporter of Emgage, and really from the start. I remember when the idea came up, and it was me and Saif and Suhail and Amir Ali was at the back there, and Ayub, who's not around in town anymore, and a bunch of us were sitting around trying to figure out how this community can have more political power. And Suhail, right from the start, was like, yeah, let's do it. Whatever you want to do, I'm backing it. I'm all in. And that's who he is. He believes in this community, and he believes in the power of this community, and he is always all in. And for that, I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge him with one of our Civic Warrior Awards. It is off script, I'm sorry. The other person is Shabir Motorwala. So Shabir and I have a love-hate relationship that goes back several centuries, I believe. We were probably, if you look at those Greek mythology scripts on mosaics on the wall, one is Shabir with a spear and me like this. But there's no question that when Shabir's throwing the spear for you, not against you, he is a force to be reckoned with. And that's what he has been since he has been helping us with Emgage. And over the years, he has been, if nothing else, he has been a tenacious advocate for us to be better and better and better. And because of that, we are better. And it's really because of him and all the work he does in all the organizations in this community. But for him, there would be no Cosmos. There would be no Muslim headline on the Miami Herald that says Eid Mubarak. All these things that we sort of just take for granted. He is the driving force for these things in this community. Love him or hate him. Shabir?
Thank you very much. I just made some more enemies today. Join the club. Thank you. And if I have not annoyed you, you're waiting your turn.
All right, introducing our next part of tonight. He is a founding member of the Allah Made Me Funny Muslim Comedy Tour and currently on the Hilarious, did I say that right? Comedy tour from St. Louis, Missouri. Please welcome Azim.
Assalamu alaikum. I said assalamu alaikum. Can I get a, can we get the, yeah. Working in here. I'm on, who's the sound guy at this event? That's who I need to talk to, because we're going to have to get you some more equipment. Are y'all all right? Or did y'all just lose your hearing? Can I get a clap or something? Have y'all been to a comedy show? You know, y'all make me feel like y'all ain't never been to a comedy club before. I know some of y'all have. I've seen you. So, thank you, brother. One person know who I'm talking about. The rest y'all like, I've never been. Astaghfirullah. I've never. Give a round of applause for all the fundraising that took place tonight. I think we raised more than $35. I think we did. How much money we make tonight? Oh, I'm not a part of the we. Okay. I'm sorry, the Negro out. Okay, so shut up. I know, brother. Boy, if you don't look like Al Roker. Anyway, so he do. I said, I was going to ask him what the weather was. The point is, how much did they raise tonight? Did anybody find? Still counting? This is a Muslim function, ain't it? We know how to count a lot quicker than that. If not, we definitely got an attorney to tell you about it. So anyway, who had fun tonight? Who had a good time? Anybody? I want to apologize for me being late. They was trying to auction me, and I said, no, we did that in America before. So shut up. So some of y'all Muslims is too tight. You need to relax. Your jab on too tight. Relax that just a little bit. Just let that piece of hair come out just a little bit. I said it. I don't care how you feel. So I'm glad to be here with y'all. Thank you so. Okay, now we got some sound. Thank you so much. I was gonna have laryngitis by minute 3. Thank you, sir. I sure appreciate it. Give it up for your sound guy. He just soldered 3 wires together. I like telling jokes at Muslim functions. I like to see how uncomfortable y'all can be. Some of y'all already tense, like I just made my salat earlier. I can't lose my blessings already. How you doing, brother? You gonna just give me a thumbs up? That's how you talk to me now? When I was asking for 10 on 2, you didn't act like that. Now, how you doing? You good? Brother, you need to talk to me. I'm a Muslim. You're not gonna act like that with me. Oh, you don't think I can come out here and talk to you? See, I'm that kind of Muslim. I walk up on you. What's your name, brother? Okay, first off, don't throw up in my face like that. He trying too hard to enunciate. A little bit of spit came right there. You saw it. No, I don't want you to fix it. You might hurt me. Okay. Good. How you doing, brother? You good? Good, good. You finished with your phone, or you trying to sell DVDs of my performance at the end? He going to be selling them right as I'm shaking hands. Thank you so much. What is your name? Yusuf. Pleasure to meet you, brother. This is your wife next to you. How long y'all been together? About 1.5 years, so just a year. That happened. So you really not married yet. You still in probationary phases. A year. If y'all don't even like each other, if y'all don't like each other after a year, it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I've been married 25 years, man. That's when you've been married a long time. When y'all know, oh, nobody gonna clap for a long relationship. Okay, no, put it back. Put it back. Don't clap for me. Pray for me. You don't know her. Shut up. You don't know what I'm going through. This when you stay together 25 years, that just means y'all love each other or your house paid for. Nobody need another mortgage. Okay, shut up. I'm serious. One time she was talking about, I think we should try to get a divorce. I said, I will move in the basement because we got a basement in our... Okay, never mind. Some of y'all taking it too serious. We didn't really talk about breaking up, but if we did, I still would have moved in the basement. I don't know how some people do it. Some Muslims get, want 4 wives. I was like, I'm broke. I got 1 wife. She'll steal the other 3 wives' money. So she like, I am all 4. I got 4 personalities. So shut up. See, I like this one right here. She laughed because she get it. Y'all too tense. This feel like a Mitt Romney convention. I said it. Relax. I'm serious, man. I think I don't know. I know every time I go, what was the imam that came up and raised the money tonight? What was his name? Yeah, give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause for raising the money. But I think we're not making as much money as we could with fundraising. I think we need to start letting the sisters do it. Because sisters know how to get money from you, don't they? I'm telling you, I got to leave here and go pump gas because my wife know how much money she needs, so she know how to help me raise the money. I'm like, shoot, I got to go get another job. But I'm telling you, I think it's amazing. I'm glad that some of y'all are, engaged in the political process because, without people fighting for freedom, well, I wouldn't be here. I mean, not as a comedian. Well, not with a suit on. Well, I probably have a fiddle in my hand. And shut up. It's called Roots. Watch it. Now listen. Look, I am a Negro and I approve this message. Y'all over here like, I don't know if I should laugh. Maybe I'll just wait till I get back home and then I'll laugh at that one. Oh, shut up. That's funny. It's and true. I'm telling you, Donald Trump, speaking of Agent Orange, if you voted for Trump, I almost question your faith. You really don't like most people. What's so sad about Donald Trump is I'm saying to myself, his average person that is his support base can't even buy one of his ties from Burlington Coat Factory. So, shut up. I seen it. I was in Puerto Rico when he was throwing the water. I caught 3 of them. But the point is, shut up. So, somebody got to get it. Why y'all so tense? Every time I say something, that means it's funny. You just don't want a lot of counted against you. Oh, how you doing, sister? It's a good pleasure to meet you. What is your name, ma'am? Shahina, pleasure, ma'am. Sir, what are you doing? Why are you silently recording? You just filming? Are you the Spike Lee of the Emgage movement? Every time I'm not talking to you, like, I'm going to take one more of these selfies right quick. How many pictures you and your wife taken so far? That's your mom? That's your parents? I know what parents mean, sir. I might be a comedian, but I got a degree. I learned what parents, I have some too. Just two. I don't, just Brad and Angelina didn't want to adopt me. So, see, there we go again. Oh, that means it was a good one. Brad and Angelina, they adopt black babies, is what I was saying, sister. This is going to be a long night. I want to thank y'all for bringing me up at the very end. I was supposed to start at 6:30, but apparently after they wrote my check, they say we own you for the rest of the night. And I was like, I thought I still had my personalized paperwork, but this is good. I always have fun with Edna and her crew. Give them a round of applause. They do a great job. It's good. I'm thankful to be around with Muslims because, you know, I wasn't born a Muslim. I accepted Islam when I was 17. And, you know, yeah, y'all clapping, but where was y'all at when I had to tell my grandmama? I came home, I'm like, Grandma, I can't eat that pork. She said, why not? I said, because I'm Muslim. No, you ain't. You ain't never been to jail. Now. You know, that's where black people find Islam is during hard times. Oh my God. Yeah, that was, you should have recorded that one. That's okay. Your friend behind you, he did it. So she's like, she need to get you a bow tie. Oh, yeah, man. I'm telling you, but like, you know, and it was cool for me, but like trying to learn how to pray in my house was interesting. You know, when I was trying to learn how to pray, you know, my family didn't understand what we was, you know, what I was doing. They thought I was practicing for Twister. They over there trying to figure out, like, what is he doing? Is that yoga? My auntie was like, that's Pilates. My grandma said, y'all don't know what he doing. That is the electric slide. I'm telling you, man. But it's always amazing, man. I just went to Juma prayer the other day, and it was amazing. Now I was in California yesterday, and they invited me to their Juma prayer at the masjid. Now I don't know in Florida. I don't know how it is at y'all's masjid, but do y'all have like that wall, the wall of shoes? Do y'all have that? Only 3 people go to the masjid, is it? The rest of y'all like, no, we just walk in barefoot. We leave our shoes in the car. We got a tiny house masjid. We can't bring all them shoes in there. But here go the thing. Now, the wall of shoes, as I call, I don't even know why we call it a wall. You know, because hold on, let me turn that off. Okay. No, that was not my wife. That was God telling me it's time to finish. Shut up. So he worked with me. Anyway, we work together as a team. He keep my heart beating and I keep talking. That's how we work together. Don't interrupt our conversation, okay? He's okay. You nosy. But you have some of them like I ain't disagreeing. Like, yeah, when you know him. That's good. Is that your cousin? I gotta ask, second cousin or first? Do you hear me talking to you, Yusuf, or you acting like your daddy now? So you don't know him? Okay, y'all need to get to know each other. Y'all make good neighbors. Sir, you can't record the whole show, okay? Can you just turn it off, please, sir? That's a little tacky. If you can hit the stop button, I'll show you where it's at. Let me just come help. Let me come help. Let me just take, I got 2 phones. Now, he just record the whole show. Let me see what bootlegging. Exactly right. He gonna be selling. I got his Azim's latest CD. It's available for $9.99. Just shoot me your email address and I'll download that to you. Thank you, brother, so much. I thought you was in media. You should have been helping with them speakers. Or at least the slideshow. Anyway, I love this, man. I got 2 phones now. Came here. Just supposed to get a check. Now leave with it. Is this a 10? Is this the 10? It's the 8. Okay, so because I was going to say, I'm going to need your eyeballs if I got to turn it back and unlock it. I'm not going to take his eyes, sisters. Jeez. Y'all over there like, oh, astaghfirullah, he's going to take his eyes too. Should have donated more. Listen, I forgot what we was talking about. We was talking about the shoes on the wall. How did we start that anyway? Where did the wall of shoes start? Did people say, you know what, a space saver? I think we need to go up the wall. Here's the thing, though. Why don't we use the wall to put the shoes in? It'd be 3 pair of shoes on the wall, 72 pairs still on the floor. It ain't funny, because when you finish making salat, you feel happy. You got self-esteem. Your head is not held down any longer. I fell into 2 different shoes. I came out with a woman's pump on and a house shoe. I don't know how that happened, but I felt like half of me was orange is the new black. Listen, I got to say this, though. We also have to say we need to make either build a bigger mass year when we start growing, or we need to give a little more space and just maybe make 2 different Juma prayers or something, because the lines don't really give me no room to sit back when I'm making my salat. You know, when I come up, you know, I got to sit back. You know, we got to either be choreography more talented, because some people don't know how to come up when they say Allahu Akbar. Somebody head still down. I'm coming down. He still down. You know, it don't work well. I'm serious, because I was coming down and the brother was coming up, and next thing you know, his head was an ottoman. I was just sitting. I was like, oh, this is nice. I said, brother, I am so sorry. He couldn't even talk. But anyway, who said I got a big booty? Oh, thank you, sir. Astaghfirullah on that. But nobody said, oh, he said he got a big booty. Well, thank you, sir. That was all that bread I was eating over there while I was waiting. But I hope y'all had a wonderful time with me. Did y'all have a good time? Inshallah, y'all can come and check out the Halal Riyadh Comedy Tour. It'll be coming back down here to South Florida next year. So, excuse me, sir, it's not time to leave yet. We've already asked for fundraising. Excuse me, sir, if you can just be patient. I got 30 seconds. I don't care, sir. Y'all gonna sit still. You knew to go to the restroom before you came. Listen. Just rude. Just get up. Just got up like, well, that's our time. Got to beat this traffic. 10 o'clock at night. These highways are jam-packed. You know how it is in South Florida. Thank you for teaching him bad manners, sir. Appreciate that. Astaghfirullah. What's your name, young fella? Oh, the other young fella that looked just like you. Alias, and that's your daddy that was walking you out? Excuse? It's yes, sir, I'm a grown man. I don't, this not a Montessori program. I don't, see, that's part of the other problem is sir at the end. See, when you don't make your kids say sir, then they go to what? And then you wonder why you on CNN when they come at your house at the house robe on. Talking about what happened. It started all at this comedy show when he got up with his daddy. Where were y'all going, sir? Oh, why you got to point at him, sir? Don't make him the culprit. You see that? See that young fella? He put it right on you. Never do a crime with your father. He'll snitch. I'm just serious. He already was. Anyway, thank y'all so much. I pray y'all get home safe. Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, folks. Give me a few minutes. I know you're ready to walk away. Maulana, don't go. You raised funds for us. We're very grateful. We'll give you 5 minutes. I was going to talk for 1 hour, but I'll make it 2 minutes, okay? Thank you. What's that? Some banquet. Okay. We had a first-time MC, Saira Anwar from Channel 10. Give her a standing ovation. Thank you. And we heard a man who's got a legacy, really. 50 years of service to the civil liberties of America. But I want you to learn, because that's what your faith teaches. Learn. You know, Prophet Muhammad said in those days, go to China for knowledge. You know, he was terrible to get to China. But now you've got mentors like him. I want you to follow what he did and follow his footsteps. And Howard, you're a South Floridian. You're not going anywhere. You're going to be with us. I know you for 20 years, but I want to know you for 20 years more. Okay? Now, I want to introduce somebody. Okay, Azim. Azim, I know big people get together, but I want to introduce the other lady behind you. Okay, Khalila, stand up. I want you to introduce this lady with a beret. She's the wife of Muhammad Ali. Khalila Camacho Muhammad Ali. Now, yeah, she can give you an autographed picture of her and Muhammad Ali. You all know about Muhammad Ali, but I want you to learn something from him. He joined Islam because he wanted to protest the unfair politics of injustice, but he practiced hate. It's only when he went to Mecca, and when he saw people of all color, class, color, creed, he came back a transformed man. And he became an ambassador of inclusiveness, and he portrayed the true Islam, which encompasses everybody as one family. So I want to say thank you today. Thank you, Khalila. You walked part of the journey with him. He was an example for a lot of us. I grew up admiring him. My grandfather used to on the radio in Kenya at 2 o'clock in the morning to listen to Muhammad Ali fight. Okay. Thank you, Khalila. So there are some other people here, like, thank you, Kuram, for making those surprise gifts. But I wanted to talk about Sohail, about Shabir Morrawala, about Yasir Billu. These three people, please stand up. Stand up, please. These are the people who put it together. This function was put up by them. I know we have a paid staff, but these are the guys who made it happen, who reached out to you and put a hand in your pocket or forced you to buy a table. But you enjoyed it, didn't you? Thanks to Azim. Where's Azim? Thank you. He was funny, yeah. I like that Agent Orange. Now, I want you to also thank another group of partners, FIU. Where's the FIU table? FIU table. Under Dr. Mark Rosenberg and Skip there with his white beard, you look like a Muslim priest, you know? Yeah. But, you know, the FIU team, with all the people in the team, they have been partners with us. They have even formed a Center for Muslim World Studies. This is a premier university, the largest public university in America, has chosen to partner with Islam and Muslims because they know Islam is not a hateful religion. It is a peaceful religion. It's one of the three monotheistic religions. And today, we have planted the seeds for South Florida to become the bastion of knowledge emancipation for the rest of the Muslim world. We'll exchange scholars and we'll teach the rest of the Muslim world how it is to be open-minded, fair, and believe in justice and democracy. That's why I want you to all put a hand on your heart and say thank you for being in America. You grew up, I don't know where you grew up, but you have to thank the founding fathers. Many hundreds of years ago, they made a country and a constitution where they even talked about a Mohammedan or a Jew or a Hindu to be inclusive. When at that time, the country was ruled by despots and monarchy, absolute monarchs, they had the vision to make democracy and justice the cornerstone of our democracy. Because of them, countries became just and democratic. Unfortunately, the mood in our country is different. That's why when I was praying behind our Imam, Dr. Samra, he quoted one ayat from the Quran, from chapter 95, verse 5, Inna ma'al usri yusra. After all difficulty comes ease. I love that ayat. So whenever I'm in trouble, I think of it. The Lord promises you, weather the storm, there will be ease afterwards. Inna ma'al yusri yusra. Remember that ayat. Today, Muslims are feeling bad. But Howard told you that people felt bad. I mean, 15,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, the Indians came here. Then the visitors came from Europe, massacred them, imprisoned them, did all sorts of bad things. They prevailed. The Jews were made the outsiders. The African Americans, 30 million of them were brought here. Half of them perished. The other half who survived were treated in slavery or in bondage. But they also got their day. They were emancipated. The Japanese, he told us, were interned. Japanese American citizens were interned. There was the other. Always there was an other. The Irish, the Germans, or the Italians. They were other. Today, Muslims are the other. We only make 1% of the population. But it is your duty today to go out there and meet your fellow Americans so they may be able to say, yes, I know a Muslim. I know a Muslim friend. He's a good person, or she's a wonderful person. She's giving, she's caring, she's kind. This is what Islam teaches you. But it is your duty to come out of this cocoon. It's too long you have stayed in cocoon. I think 9/11 woke us up because some idiots can do things in our name and we'll all be blamed with the same brush. You've got to stand up and show that Islam stands for fairness, liberty, justice. And this is what has made America great. So I'm grateful for our founding fathers. But here we are today. We stand at the threshold of a new world, a world that is changing. And you today, I look at upon you, you may be 1%, but you are the most educated members of society. Muslim Americans are more educated than their fellow Americans. They have a higher income, and they have the least amount of incarceration or criminal record. You are good citizens. Should be proud of it. Give yourself a hand applause. So I'm going to ask you today to make a promise. Help Emgage. Emgage is doing that. What Emgage is doing is relationship. We thank Brother Yasir, who's reading our Emgage pack, who's to tell, we don't want anything from our politicians. I want them to know that we exist, we are contributing members of society, and our opinions matter. So in a democracy, two things matter. Your ability to stand up and speak, and your ability to vote. Up to now, Emgage has been trying to just convince the Muslims, guys, wake up and vote. But you have to go beyond that. You've got to speak. Not speak just for yourselves. You're only 1%. But there's a lot of injustice in our country. There are a lot of things that can be corrected. There are a lot of things that can make our nation a better nation. That is your civic duty. Stand up and speak. Contribute. Get involved. And God willing, this will remain the greatest country in the world. President Trump says, let's make America great again. I think it's one of the greatest countries, but it can continue to remain great with people like you who remind Americans about the way that they founded hundreds of years ago. We are losing that way. Let's bring them back to that document, that Constitution, which is a wonderful piece of document, which is a bastion for the rest of the world about liberty, justice, and democracy. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.